早急に取り掛かるぞ。
East 1. The Dora is the 8 of dots. The player is north.
I'd love to see some tile drawing magic here.
Let's see how this battle unfolds. The player, one step in the right direction.
This hand is really beginning to come together.
Who's going to make the first call here? The player, on a roll.
The next few tiles could make a huge difference.
Any calls on this time to pass for now? The player across. What to do with this time still holding back? Draws yet another simple. Who will come out on top in this confrontation? The player, 2 tiles to Tempai.
This is the point where skill really factors in.
Uh-oh, East has declared Deech.
I'm curious to see if this develops into a confrontation.
Will it be possible to catch up here? The player's going for it.
That tile made it through.
Ah, geez. The player on the right. What an incredible win off the wall.
The player on the right, a very favorable start.
The player on the right takes a modest lead. East 1, 1 counter. The Dora is the 9 of cracks. The player is north. How does this starting hand look to you?
This could turn into a very big hand.
This is not an easy spot to work around. What's going to happen to this score gap? The player, he called it a pass for now. The player, is there any way to turn the tables here? Another useless draw. The player, 2 tiles to Tempai. Oh wow, and there's a call. Whatever happens, it'll be something to talk about. The players are already visualizing their winning hands. Who will come out on top in this confrontation?
This north could be kept as a safe tile.
What to do with this still holding back? The player across discards another bam. The player, is it time still no calls? The player on the right continues to discard symbols. How are the players going to approach this hand? No one dares to make the first move. The player, 1 tile to Tempai.
This hand is very near completion.
The player on the right discards another crack. My, oh my, and there's the Deech!
I'm curious to see if this develops into confrontation.
Will it be possible to catch up here?
The player on the left has discarded that tile.
Oh, there it is! The player on the right suffers an unexpected loss.
With a fine play, no doubt about it.
East 2, the Dora is the 9 of cracks. The player is west. How does this starting hand look to you?
This starting hand is certainly very competitive.
The stage is set. Anything can happen. Any calls on this to pass for now? The player, already 2 tiles to Tempai.
The next few tiles could make a huge difference.
What's going to happen to this score gap? What to do with this top still holding back? The player, still no calls. The player, is there any way to turn the tables here? The player is already 1 tile to Tempai. The player, is it time for a call? This table is so quiet I could hear a pin drop. Things are at a standstill. The air is tense as the players take their turns. Who's going to make the first call here? The air is very tense at this moment. The player, Tempai! Oh wow, and there's a call.
Deech.
There it is, Deech!
A heck of a lot of work went into this reach. The player on the right is assuming that it's an open weight.
The player on the right is on the defense against the player's Deech. The player across is playing cautious. Chasing Deech!
This is a Deech shootout.
There's only one winner in a Deech shootout. The player. Can this hand withstand the... The player across makes a call on another bam. Is this hand going to end quietly? Who will seize the win this hand? The player can't quite... Nobody wins this shootout.
3 players are Tempai.
East 3, 1 counter. The Dora is the 3 of cracks. The player is south. The player on the right is in first.
Still very much in a position to win the game.
Now, let's watch how things develop. The player, already 2 tiles to Tempai.
This is the point where skill really factors in.
What's going to happen to this score gap? The player on the left makes a call out of nowhere. The player on the right refuses to compromise. This is a fierce exchange of fire. The lady calls on the pass for now. What to do with this? Still holding back. The player on the right already. The player on the left, that's a pawn. The player is already one tile to tenpai.
Certain tiles will fit right into this hand. Others will gradually transform it.
The player on the right makes a call on another bam. The player, is it still no calls? The player, is there any way to turn the tables here? Have things calmed down for the moment? How are the players going to approach this hand? Who will arise victorious this time? Look at that!
Heat.
Hanemon Tenpai! The player on the left is down to one tile. No turning back now.
That kills the Ikatsu.
The player on the right. Here we have a con. Underside Dora.
The player across the table is assuming.
Paimon Tenpai. The player. Can this hand withstand the heat? The player on the right decides to match the player's discard. The player on the left is playing cautious.
The player on the left.
Nobody wins this shootout.
3 players are tenpai.
East 4, 2 counters. The Dora is White Dragon. The player is East, heading into the final hand of the match.
The player, for Tsumo, a Mangan will take first. For Dong, a Hanemon will take first.
Well, it's hard to know just how this will turn out. The player, one step in the right direction.
This hand is really beginning to come together.
What's going to happen to this score gap?
This west could be kept as a safe tile.
And he calls it a pass for now. The player, 2 tiles to tenpai.
The next few tiles could make a huge difference.
What to do with this tile? Oh wow, and there's a call. The player is already 1 tile to tenpai.
This hand is very near completion.
The player, is there any way that the player, is it still holding back? No one dares to make the first move. The air is very tense at this moment. The player, tenpai!
No Yaku in this hand yet.
Still no calls. Have things calmed down for the moment? Oh, making a move here. How are the players going to approach this hand? We're witnessing a tense push and pull. My oh my! Chasing Beach!
There are any number of responses here.
The player, can this hand withstand the heat?
That's a safe tile for the player across the table.
There it is! The player across suffers an unexpected loss.
With a fine play, no doubt.
リーチ全然なってない。全てやり直せ。